Hello, folks. This is a story about the beautiful and incomparable BRM P261. In my mind, the most beautiful Formula One car of the half-tonner era and a little bit beyond. Had a racing career with Owen Racing Organization from 1964 when it was introduced through 1967. The principal drivers being Graham Hill and Jackie Stewart, and before Jackie Stewart drove for the team, Graham Hill and Richie Ginther. As I said, in my mind, this is the most beautiful of the cars of the era, although some folks would take issue with that and perhaps suggest the Lotus 25 or its successor, the Lotus 33. Indeed, gorgeous cars in their own right. But this was always my favorite. And I had the good fortune of being able to build a couple of these BRM P261s in 1/32 scale, scratch built from body kits and then all sorts of bits and pieces and handmade stuff and other accessories for Proxy Racing Series quite some time ago. So that's the introduction to this, and we will get around to talking about a new static model BRM that I'm going to be building shortly or soon, and it's going to be another BRM P261. Okay, if you're still with me, I appreciate it. The next step is I need to read some correspondence to you from a good friend of mine over in the UK who has enabled me to take this journey into nostalgia and into slot car racing, proxy car building, and all of that good stuff. To continue with the story, a while back, I was in correspondence with my good friend in Blackpool, England, Dave Jones, an artist, designer, builder of just incredible slot cars and actually producer of fiberglass slot car shells, especially from the 50s, 60s, a little beyond that, but that era of Formula One Grand Prix cars. And I'd been introduced to Dave through other people in the hobby. I had never met, still have not met Dave in person, but we started corresponding. And one thing led to another, and I asked if he would ever consider building a shell for sale of the BRM P261, which he agreed to do. And he asked me, well, which one? Because the cars changed a little bit, the prototypes, race to race. They'd knock off something here, modify the body a little bit here, etc. And I said, yeah, the low exhaust version, the version that was raced in 1964, with the exhaust pipes, manifolds coming out of the side of the car, the fuel injection trumpets coming through the center of the engine cowling. And we agreed on which chassis, and it was duly built, and I ordered a couple, and just delightful. Well, of course, being the guy I am, I was hoping Dave would build the next step, which was the high exhaust P261. And that's the one that there's a picture of in the opening of this video, looking down at Jackie Stewart in the high exhaust 261. The engine was the same, but they had modified it. It was still 1.5 liter, very small displacement, V8, and just a gorgeous, gorgeous car. And Dave agreed that he would do that. So I want to read you some correspondence now from some time ago. This is from April 1st. Hi, this is from me to Dave. Hi, Dave. I just got off the phone with Alan Schwartz, a.k.a. Curie Martini, another noted hobbyist in the slot car world who has sadly passed away recently. Anyway, Alan said that his ISP expects to get the blog restored by the end of April at the latest, so please save your pictures of work in progress. That's what I'm doing with my BRM. I was pleased to hear that you're working on the high exhaust P261. The more I think about it, the more inclined I am to ask that you pattern the car after chassis 2616 as it appeared at the 1965 British Grand Prix. It has the same twin nostril vents as it did at Monaco, but the shape of the nose and radiator opening is more aggressive. Would that be too much trouble? I expect that I'll get together with Jim, that's Jim Hansen, sometime later this month. We live about 130 miles apart, and do some serious testing on his track. My little track isn't really up to what I need to do for this race. At least that's the plan for now. So that was from April 1st, and I got an email back from Dave the next day, April 2nd. Hi, Mark. As you will see from the attached photos, I picked up on your request that I base the high exhaust P261 on the British Grand Prix car with the enlarged and sharper nose intake. I just slightly sanded a narrow flat across the existing nose shape and superglued a piece of pre-shaped 10 amp fuse wire onto it, then filled the body contours to it with body filler. I then dremeled out the surplus resin in the aperture to give a reasonably sharp edge. It still needs a bit of refining, but I am quite pleased with the effects so far. You might also make out in the third photo that I have modified the two upper nose apertures from the original triangular shape to the D shape that they altered them to. Obviously, still a long way to go, but at least I'm making some progress, although that will be a bit slow due to other commitments. I'm looking forward to hearing that Al has his blog sorted out and that we can start contributing to the discussions and uploading photos. No doubt, speak to you soon. Kindest regards, Dave. Now, I mentioned that my email was dated April 1st, and Dave's reply was April 2nd, and that was not April 1st or 2nd of 2024. It was of 2011. But as they say, good things come to he or they who wait. Something really cool arrived at my doorstep this morning. So here it is. After a somewhat long wait, the BRM P261 1965 version specifically for the British Grand Prix, chassis 2616 as driven by Graham Hill. Beautiful, immaculate fiberglass body shell in 1/32, obviously with an open bottom because it's designed and built to be put on a scratch-built slot car. There is a resin insert here for the exhaust pipes or the exhaust manifold, and that will, after it's all, see if I can pick this up, painted, fitted up, fits in there. And then we've got a vacuum form, a little hard to pick up the details, but it's all properly done. The vacuum form windscreen, which needs to be cut out. And obviously, I've got to create some openings and do a fair amount of work, but that's okay because the shell is perfect. Now, I have had some experience with Dave Jones' beautiful body shells. In fact, I took one of the low exhaust P261 a few years ago as I waited for this to arrive, and I did a conversion. And I did a conversion to the high exhaust my version of it. That again, that's the Dave Jones body shell, but you know, I flipped around where the injection trumpets and the exhaust manifold go, and I decided to use Jackie Stewart as my driver, and this is indeed a slot car, so it's got a working electric motor, gear train, all of that good stuff on a piano wire and brass chassis. And I did create an interior all scratch built with an immense miniature driver's figure of Jackie Stewart. And now I'm looking at replicating the process with this body shell, now purpose built as a high exhaust chassis 2616. This one's going to have Graham Hill in it. So I've got my work cut out for me, but I'm going to build it as a static model. Now I know how to shape fuel tanks and all of that good stuff, and I'm going to put in a full interior, and but it's going to have suspension components. I'll obviously use evergreen plastic and create the mostly flat bottom that seals it all up. And it's going to be my entry in a Formula One Grand Prix group build. And I've got all year to do it. But I need to collect some of my slot car accessories and items, which are still in storage, but I'll be reunited with them by the end of the month. And I hope there's a Graham Hill driver figure in there. Maybe not, but we'll figure it out. And what I will do is now, with this beautiful shell, I will create a running mate for this car, except the new static model won't be running. Now, however, you say, well, why wouldn't you make a slot car out of it? Well, I will, of course, because I don't just have one of these. There's a second one, and that one will become a slot car someday. Okay, that's the story of the beautiful and very good racer from BRM. Principal drivers during the period. Principal drivers being Graham Hill, Jackie Stewart, Richie Ginther. And my thanks to Dave for this spectacular work. And I'm really eager to get going on this project and build a 1/32 scale Grand Prix static model. Thanks for watching.